Hello guys, Crispy here, welcome back to another video. In this one, my friends, I'm going to be testing a GeForce GTX 672GB model in GTA 5. This one is the Asus DirectCU 2 version of the card. We are running it with the latest Nvidia drivers, available to it, of course, and I'm not manually overclocking it. You can see all of its specs right here in Tech Power-Ups, GPU-Z as well, and over on the left, we're pairing it with a Ryzen 5 3600X and 16GB of RAM. This is DDR4 3200MHz CL14 in dual channel. Let's get into it, shall we? Here we have it, guys. Let's go over the settings first. I am starting this at 1080p resolution, and we're also going to test some higher resolutions in this video. Yes, the 670 can handle them, and we're using the high to very high settings here. I had to sacrifice some of the settings like population variety, because if I turn this up, we would be running out of VRAM and it would start stuttering a little bit. But yeah, these are the best compromise settings for a 2GB GPU, in my opinion, like the 670 here. Here we go, let's start counting our FPS. We're getting 80s right here and 90s. It feels very smooth here at 120 Hz, although it's not really a super high refresh rate experience, of course, unfortunately. But you don't really need that, in my opinion, in GTA 5. If this is enough to kill Bob and see Jack, it means that it's playable. So let's do that. As you can see, this GPU doesn't have any issue whatsoever playing this game at 1080p resolution. In fact, I think this game asks for a GTX 660 as the recommended requirement GPU, so of course the 670 won't have any issues whatsoever. And this GPU kind of reminds me of my old GTX 760 as well. Why would you do that? Everything was going so well. I wasn't even going to crash against anyone in this video, you know, obviously. But that guy was just bad luck. If they only moved, I don't care anymore, I don't care. You know what, guys, I just remembered, the fact that we don't get super high FPS means that it won't break the engine, so we don't really have any stuttering issues here with the GTX 670. Alright, very good maneuver, right? The car is still good, completely fine. Let's go to the grassy area over here. Grass quality is set to high, so it's still very intensive. It has a lot of grass here, dropping down into the lower 60s at times. Hello, Jack, how you going, buddy? Everything alright? I love you too. I love you. He just says that he loves us all, actually. Also, by the time this video goes live, we probably have 500,000 subscribers. That's absolutely insane. I'll need to do something special about it, but right now I'm on vacation, so that's why I haven't posted anything yet. Anyway, around here in Bob's little trail, we're getting lower 60s once again. I think it dropped already into the 50s. Maybe 61, 65, and let's go kill Bob now. Goodbye, Bob. Anyway, if you want a really smooth experience here, the 670 can definitely deliver it. And I know some people will look at this and think, you're only getting these FPS because of that Ryzen 5 3600X. Well, in a way, that's true, because it's allowing the GPU to be at 99% usage, but the 3600X could deliver like 150 frames per second in this game. We're not really going to see that with the 670, because we're heavily GPU bound here. And if you have something like an old i7 CPU like the 4770K or the 6700K, especially if you overclock those, you can achieve these FPS absolutely fine. And if you only have something like a 3770 or a 4770, you should be good for like 80 FPS average. You're not going to lose a ton of performance by not having GPU maxed out all of the time. But yeah, if you are stuck with a GT 710, for example, or even a 1030, this will be a good upgrade over them. Or stuff like Intel HD graphics on a second gen i7, for example. This will make your PC a gaming PC. For all titles, but it's still a gaming PC. Now the problem is, at 1440p we will heavily run out of VRAM. Well, not really that heavily, actually. Interesting. Only 100 megabytes or 130 megabytes over the limit, so let's try it out still. Let's start counting our FPS. This is a grassy area, so it's actually one of the most intensive areas. Obviously, Jack's Hill has a lot more grass and bushes and so on, so it will be more intensive. Jesus, come on, Crisp. Drive it properly. Let's go. In this area, it can still reach 60 frames per second. That is quite decent, right? It's 1440p resolution, not a resolution that was meant for a GTX 670 at all when it came out, you know. Back in 2012, 1080p was actually really intensive, and these cards were doing 1080p quite well. I remember some people by like 2013 were already playing at 1440p with stuff like GTX 780, 780 Ti's, but the 670, I'm not sure if anybody back then paired it with a 1440p monitor, mainly because 1440p monitors were extremely expensive. But yeah, as long as you are playing games like GTA 5, older titles, it will run absolutely fine on these GPUs. They were pretty decent back in their days, you know. Also, so far so good in terms of stuttering. I haven't seen a single one yet, so that's fantastic. And actually, the VRAM allocation isn't even at 2 gigabytes, whereas the utilization, that's what the A and U stand for on the VRAMs, it is at 1.5 gigs. So no problems here in this regard. You can actually have high textures at 1440p still. Anyway, let's go. Goodbye, Bobs. I don't even know which one is Bob, so I will kill them both. Okay, there we go. All right, so inside of bushes, doesn't even drop down into the 30s, guys. I mean, this is quite good. Wow. 42 or 41 is like the minimum here inside of these bushes. That's kind of insane for a 670. Honestly, I knew the 670 was going to do a good job here in GTA 5, but this is actually surpassing my expectations a little bit. Oh boy. All right, there we go. Finally, I didn't crash the car horribly this time. Okay, yeah, not bad whatsoever with 60 average. How many of you expected this right now? Again, it's an old title. Some of you probably know that it runs very well on old GPUs, but a lot of people don't know about that. Okay, let's stop it there though, and I think we should probably try this at like high settings instead of very high settings. So I'm just gonna lower a few settings here. Here we go. These will be our new settings at the 1440p resolution. Basically everything that was turned up to very high, I set it to high, and this is now the high settings preset, of course. Okay, here we go, guys. I'm gonna start counting our FPS. We're going with this car this time around. It's still fitting, right? Because it's AMD Ryzen orange. Right? And we're using a Ryzen CPU. And also, the higher the resolution, the less important the CPU becomes. So here at 1440p, to achieve these FPS that we're seeing here, especially the 60s that we saw previously, you can get by with like a 4th gen i5 or even a 4th gen i3 if the game still runs like it did a few years ago when I tested it with those lower end i3s. Anyway, around here, instead of seeing 60 to 70 FPS most of the time, we're now in 70 to 80 range. God, you bastard. At least use your blinkers. God damn it. Every single time. I really hope that people use their blinkers in GTA 6, guys. And I really hope that it supports these Kepler GPUs. That would be sick, right? But I doubt it, actually. These are getting very old. They don't even support the latest titles. Most of them, at least. But yeah. Oh boy. I have a little bit of faith in Rockstar, okay? But at the same time, I just remembered in Red Dead Redemption 2, these Kepler GPUs aren't really doing all that great of a job. Anyway, come on, car. Please, we need to see Jack. Why are you doing this to me right now? God damn it. Also, it still drops into the 50s, but if you set the grass quality to normal instead of high, yeah, don't run away, buddy. Just stay there. A car is coming towards you and you don't care. Right. But as I was saying, if you set the grass quality to normal, it should run fine over here because it will get rid of all of the grass. Although inside of bushes, it will still drop from 60 FPS. Hi, Jack. He always says that he loves us these days, my friend. It's so beautiful. All right, over here, 47. Look at that, the average right now, 69. Amazing. Goodbye, Bob. Wait, he's not dead. How are you not dead? I shot you on the feet, and I also ran you over a little. He's pretending, my friends. No, maybe he's dead. Okay, good stuff. Let's continue here. So it's only going to drop using these settings in those grassy areas. In the city, it won't. It will actually stay closer to 80 frames per second, which is absolutely sick. It's 1440p high settings after all. I'm fine with this experience. More than fine, actually. Especially if you're upgrading from like Intel HD 4000, for example, to a 670. Like, this is night and day. It's going to be so much better. Gonna stop it right there. We got 69 average, absolutely perfect. And now let's go up to 4K. Here we have it, guys, 3840 by 2160, 4 times the resolution that was hard to run back in 2012, which is 1080p. So this is kind of insane. High settings, we're heavily running out of VRAM at this point, so I think it will start stuttering and struggling as well quite a bit in just a little while. But yeah, right now, as long as that VRAM isn't filled up, and I think it isn't at the moment somehow, I have no idea, it is actually playing pretty decently for what it is. Again, like a 670 from 2012 playing 4K high in GTA 5 is nothing short of amazing. Of course, in grassy hills, it will start struggling quite a lot more. Oh boy, that was a nice jump. Oh, that was not a nice jump, but at least we did something interesting. Oh, hello, Rex. How's it going, buddy? Like, what are you doing here? I killed Bob and he's just roaming around the city. Yeah, you do you, my friend. Just enjoy life. That's it. Okay, come on. Let's go. My God, what the heck, dude? This car is bad. Definitely the car that's bad. Alright, let's go. So far, it hasn't dropped from 30 FPS, but we're about to see it happen. Yep, there we go. 24. That's all because of that grass, guys. It is super, super demanding, especially at 4K resolution for a GTX 672GB, right? So what I'm gonna do next is lower it down to normal settings. I'm gonna keep the population density and distance scaling the same, because these are more CPU-bound settings. And let's drop it down a notch to normal. Everything to normal, sharp shadows as well. This one I will turn off, and this is it, okay? These are our new settings. Okay, yeah, it's getting quite smooth. Oh boy, okay, you know what? You know what? This is going to be the perfect run with the car over here, okay? I'm not going to crash, and I'm not going to run anyone over. I'm not going to crash I'm not going to crash into cars. I'm extremely embarrassed right now. I was hyping it up and oh my gosh. Okay. Today is not my driving day. Okay. All right. Let's go. But I am not going to run anyone over. That's the most important part, because we are a family-friendly channel. Obviously, that didn't count, right? Like from the side, it never counts from the... I give up. But as you can see, if you are fancying some 4K and you want 30 plus FPS all of the time, you don't care about 60 FPS, well, this is it. Oh, Jacqueline is here. Hello, Jacqueline. How's it going? Okay, and over here, it dips down into the 30s, but it shouldn't really drop from 30 frames per second. So even if you want to play at 4K and you don't mind, goodbye, Bob, sacrificing the settings a little, well, a lot, it's going to be fine on the GTX 670. Kind of insane, right? And it's actually smooth. Look at that, 60 FPS right now. It can be smooth sometimes. That means that the next thing that we should try is 8K resolution. Oh, you know what I just remembered? GTA 5 on the ARC A770 that I tested like a week ago or so, it actually was more stuttery than a GTX 670 in GTA 5 because of the Intel drivers. It's just something interesting that I thought about right now. Okay, this is it, 7680 by 4320 using the low settings or normal settings, which are the lowest settings in this game. Oh boy, it is working. Oh, wow. Okay. I think this is getting 1 FPS because the VRAM is completely maxed out at this point. At least the allocation is. And that's what happens usually. But there's nothing we can do to fix that. So the 8K experience gets us 1 FPS, apparently, unless something is still loading. Okay. Power utilization is at 73 watts at the moment. It's also extremely low compared to what we've been seeing so far. And that's another indication that the VRAM is the issue here. It's maxing out. And it just can't. It's a bottleneck, basically, within the GPU itself. If this was the 4GB GTX 670, maybe we could have seen higher FPS at 8K. But yeah, with the 2GB, this is the experience. Thanks very much for watching this video. I hope you guys enjoyed it. Thanks very much for 500,000 subscribers. Again, I still don't have 500,000 subscribers at the time of making this video, but when this comes out, we probably do. I love you all, guys. Thanks so much for that. And I'll catch you in the next one. Love you all. Bye-bye.